It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
No fear, no fear, no fear, no fear here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the beautiful studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. I have law enforcement against prohibition on Terry Nelson. Terry Nelson, he's got a career here. He's got some street cred. Let me go ahead and give you a little bit. Law enforcement career spanning 3 decades. It includes service in the U.S. Border Patrol, the U.S. Customs Service, and the Department of Homeland Security, taking him beyond the U.S. borders into Mexico, Central America, South America. He's been involved in the drug war. The boy's got something to say. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Ernest, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get you down here a little bit. And, you know, I wanted to make sure that you had an opportunity to promote LEAP first. Let's go ahead and talk about your participation with LEAP and what kind of platform that gives you to share with us all. Tell us about LEAP.
Well, thank you for that opportunity. LEAP is a group of law enforcement officers that think the war on drugs is a total public policy failure. We are all of our speakers are volunteers. We have a small staff that's paid, but the rest of us are all volunteers. We're made up of judges, lawyers, prosecutors, DEA, FBI, police, prison wardens, etc., that think the war on drugs just should not go on any longer. It's been too big a waste of money, and more importantly, it's been too big a waste of human lives. So we think a policy change is needed because for 40 years we've been fighting the war the same way, and we haven't made any progress. So common sense would say it's time to change our strategy. We recommend a strategy of legalized regulation and control of all drugs, because to regulate and control anything, first it has to be legal. We must take it out of the hands of the criminal drug gangs and the cartels, and we're never gonna make any progress with this. We believe that your drug problem should be handled as a medical one instead of a criminal one.
All right,
that's kind of it in a nutshell.
All right, well, let's go ahead and crack the nut here. Now, I want to get to. I know where this is going. We'll get to the end. We'll just skip right to the end. Legalization, regulation, all this. You're taking it from one criminal enterprise and giving it to another. So I'm wondering the philosophical understanding of why LEAP would go from, it's really in the hands of criminals right now because it's being illegal, and then you legalize it as part of being under the total control of one of the very entities that take advantage of it being illegal now. So what's going to happen. It's going to be directed to pharma. They're going to be the ones that's going to be cultivating the drugs. They're going to be the ones that get the government's permission slip. They're going to be, and then still going to be illegal for the individual, and you're not going to be able to make your own blah, 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 blah. What's your response to those kind of concerns?
Well, my response is you may be absolutely right, but we won't know until we try it, because all we do know is the model we have, and the model we have is not working. Now, I'm willing to sit at the table, and anyone in my organization is willing to sit at the table with anybody that wants to come up with a solution other than the one we've been doing for 40 years. Now, we believe that if it's regulated by the states like alcohol and tobacco is, with 50 state models out there working on it, one of them is going to get it right, and the rest of them can copy it.
Yeah, that one that says we're not involved, that one, I want that one. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about tactics. We've had law enforcement on that's been part of your organization that then are not part of your organization. And the reason would be is that as line officers, as in many of the several positions that you've held, they've gone, I'm just not playing. I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to prosecute. I'm not going to, conduct be part of this machine. And LEAP has been, look, hey, we're still upholding the law as it is. We advocate changing the law. I'm wondering now, what will that always be the policy of LEAP? Is there a time when it'll be like the soldiers just stop fighting the war? It's the only way to stop it. I'm not suggesting you go into fragging officers so you don't have to go into the bush like in Vietnam kind of thing. But I mean, there's going to be some type of a resistance from people on the line. I would think might be necessary. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that may be true, but I don't want to advocate any kind of a violence or armed insurrection against my government. That would be a violation of the law, and we certainly don't want to violate the law.
Well, what about just sitting down?
Change it.
Sometimes to stand up for something, you just got to sit down, and you got
Ernest. Many officers out there right today are not making arrests for small amounts of marijuana. They're giving a guy a good butt chewing, and they're letting him go. There are many officers like that out there. And there are just as many officers out there that want to make that over 3 hours overtime the next day, so they're going to bust him for a gram or 2 grams and treat him like a criminal, throw him on the ground, cuff him, and take him down and book him, and therefore ruin his life because he'll never be able to get a decent job after that. But there are many officers out there that are good, solid officers. They understand this is a failed policy. 57% of the police chiefs in the United States know the war on drugs is a failure, and 74% of the public knows it's a failure. We have a lot of good police officers out there. Unfortunately, we have some rogue officers out there too that take a little bit too much liberty with their gun and their badge.
We had I just had someone visiting from out of state was telling me this story. And I'll give this to you, and it just reinforces what you were saying. She said there was a sheriff's deputy that was serving a warrant on someone in her home that was the previous occupant. Didn't live there. Now, looking through the screen, they live out in a farm area. I mean, they're rural. They're not bothering nobody out in the middle of nothing. And they could see in the darkness, looking into the lighted room through the screen, that when the door was knocked on, they took some marijuana they had in a container on the coffee table and put it under a blanket on the couch and just kind of covered it before they answered the door. The law enforcement comes in and so-and-so, no, they don't live here anymore, not here, don't know what you're talking about, have a nice day. Oh, no. You got to let me, I got a warrant here, I can come in. And he goes, no, oh yeah, you better let me in because we saw you put, your substance that we can smell underneath the blanket on the couch. Okay, so she lets him in, really seriously. I mean, we're out here, 2 women, not bothering anybody, we're mature, what. He finally goes, yeah, you should stop that nasty habit, and he left. Now, I'm wondering, this, I would think that would instill a great deal more of the idea that they're peace officers, not this law enforcement thing. And you're right. He probably would have got some overtime. He probably would have, I don't know, they got some more money for their department from federal blah, blah, blah. And a lot of times for someone to do exactly what you said, that they just, look, man, this is just not, I'm not going to destroy somebody's life because of this. How common is that? What is the mentality? Because we've seen it over the past decade and a half or more, that there has been a recruitment and encouragement of somebody to look for an opportunity to screw with people. And I'm wondering what the motivation is. Is it a personality thing, or is there a financial incentive for them to do it?
I think a lot of it is a personality thing. And here, the big difference is a lot of people want to be police officers, and a lot of them want to be peace officers. They serve, the public is their boss. Many police officers look at it that way. But then you've got the gung-ho, Rambo types that I'm going to, and a lot of us when we were young officers came in thinking that we could change the world. But, after a few years, about 5 years on the street, you get some maturity, you go, wait a minute, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. What I'm supposed to be doing is keeping the peace. And just keep people, and I grew up in a small town, so it was not a problem. The sheriff he'd just separate people fighting and send them home and make them come down to the coffee shop next day and talk about it. But that's a small town. You can't do that in a big city.
Why not?
But, well, I don't know. I've just never seen it happen in a big city. I just believe in the sanctity of law enforcement. I believe we have some really terrific officers out there, and I believe given the right opportunity, they do the right thing.
Let's go ahead and talk about it. You're going to push the button on us. We're on the phone with Terry Nelson from Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. And, he's looking for, making sense out of this whole thing. He's going to share it with us. And he has a unique perspective of being on the line. We'll talk more with Terry when we come back here on Declare Your Independence in just a little bit.